Good evening. Welcome to America's New Clothes, another edition of what you aren't being told in the mainstream media. Want to start off with Chuck Schumer writing a letter, penning a letter to the FBI to tell them to please stop investigating the Hunter Biden laptop, which today the Steve Bannon releases or the gtv.org releases that came out starting this morning, or I guess late last night, early this morning, have some very compromising photos of some underage girls. One of them looks to be, or is purported to be, Natalie Biden, which is Beau Biden's daughter. So if this is true, then it's his niece, and Hunter is lying with her on a couch, dim lighting, and she's off camera, or not off camera. You can see part of it, but it's blurred out. But what it looks like is they're engaging, obviously, in some sexual situations. And what makes this interesting is that if you recall, Hunter, or when Beau Biden passed away of a brain tumor, unfortunately, Hunter began having having an affair on his wife with Beau's widowed wife. So Hunter's wife found out about it, filed for divorce. He then moves in with Beau's wife and seems to have been having sex, obviously, with her, as well as with his niece. So very disturbing there. Another one came out and shows what looks to be Malia Obama, but that's still suspect. We don't know. There's a JP Morgan private client card that is on a table that's being used, it looks like, to cut up cocaine. There's reports that that was released, a couple years ago or so. Nobody can, or I haven't seen anybody authenticate that one or not. But Chris Coons, supposedly there's some information that Hunter was having some young underage sexual stuff going on with Chris Coons' daughter. Chris Coons is a senator as well from Delaware, and he's now locked his Instagram account from comments, so not sure what the truth is there or not. But it is interesting that Chuck Schumer has reached out to the FBI and told them to stop investigating it. According to the DOJ, the FBI did say we're going to stop investigating it because we can't find or verify any wrongdoing, whether it be international and that type of thing. But they were reviewing the laptop for international mail or international wire fraud. So there is. Steve Bannon did release emails that are pretty incriminating about some stuff going on with Burisma, about lining up meetings in the White House as well, with Mexican authorities as well in the government, or at Pemex and some other Mexican corporations. So a lot of stuff going on there that people are going to begin asking questions on. Maybe not the Jake Tappers and George Stephanophoulos and Jonathan Karls and Chuck Todds of the world, because they pushed a fake Russia hoax narrative for years and without anything being verified. Just Adam Schiff or Chuck Schumer coming out and saying, "Oh my God, we've got them red-handed. Just trust us. We're gonna show you the evidence." And of course, they never came out. But so it's interesting that they push unverified and salacious Steele dossier stuff, but won't touch this. So I don't think it made any of the Sunday shows this morning, or if it did, it was to kind of just brush it under the rug and say it's not been verified, let's move on. So you have that stuff going on. Other news, the Afghan forces have killed the #2 Al-Qaeda, I guess propagandist, but #2 head of Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. It was last week it happened. It just broke today that story did happen. Al-Qaeda has not said anything about it yet, so we're not sure if it hasn't been verified, but from what the Afghan forces are telling us, that it did happen. It complicates things a little bit, obviously, because they were trying to work out some peace agreements and stop the bloodshed so we could bring our troops home after 19 years of just stupid war. So that's news as well. Not sure if that made the press, as I haven't seen anything on it today. So on the early voting. There's some interesting things coming in on the early voting, specifically in Michigan and Ohio and Florida. In Michigan, Biden has a lead according to most all polls. I think it's called the poll of polls. Has Biden up 7.8 points in Michigan. Trump won that state by 0.3 in 2016. The early voting results in Michigan, there were 3.1 million ballots requested, of which about 2 million have come back. And of those 2 million, 41% are supposedly GOP and 39% Democrat. Now, again, you ask, how do you know that? What a lot of people don't realize is that oftentimes on the ballots, there's some marker, some indicator on there that lets the person counting the votes or the person collecting the ballots know if it's Republican, unaffiliated, or Democrat. So that's the only way that I can assume that they know what the count is. So that calls into question this being very suspect of why there's markers on there. Now the people would know, all right, if we want this candidate to win, then even in local races, we're going to throw these out, we're going to hide these, or ballot harvest them and say, oh, look what we found at the very end. We only needed 500 votes. Here's 1,000 votes. So very suspect. But so if he's up 41-39, he's got a 2-point lead in early voting by mail-in ballots, then Michigan, as some pollsters that follow this stuff are saying, it's going to be very hard for the Democrats to make up that gap. So that's very positive for Trump if he's trying to, obviously both are trying, but if he's going to win Michigan. In Ohio, Trump won that state by 8 points, a little over 8 points in 2016. The polls right now are showing that's roughly tied. Early votes for that show 2.1 million ballots also returned. Of that, the GOP is up 48-39, so they're crushing the Democrats in mail-in ballots supposedly right now. 13% are unaffiliated, so obviously unaffiliated could make up that gap for Democrats if they break for Biden's way. A lot of unaffiliateds and independents wait until almost not the very end, but they wait until the debates are all over before they send their ballots in. They're not just straight party line voters, so they're a little bit more cautious in how they vote or when they vote, I guess. So look for those to start coming in. But that's a 123% increase since 2016 on early votes, whereas Michigan was a 206% increase. Usually, if you're having to turn out the vote election, then Democrats need to get the vote out because the Republican GOP or Trump and GOP vote is coming. And they usually vote in person. So if in these states Democrats are behind on mail-in ballots or even if they're up, but by a small margin, again, it's going to be difficult to get the Democrats to the polls. Right now, usually on the Sunday before the election, or the Sundays before the election when early voting is open, they go to churches, they pick people up, they take them to polling places and get them to early vote. Obviously, some states aren't having church right now, so how do they go find the voters or just drive up and pick up a group and take them? So that's very interesting. That if they're behind in these early mail-in ballot states and even early mail-in early in-person voting, then it's going to be difficult for them as we get closer to election day to make up that gap. In Florida, obviously polls are all over the place. Some polls are up, Biden's up 2, other polls Trump's up 2. The interesting part there is that the GOP is behind in early mail-in ballots and in early in-person voting. However, right now, according to the pollsters that I watch, they're behind by about 325,000. They're making up that clip at about 6,000 per hour. This one pollster said, who got it right in 2016. So if that's the case, that by early Tuesday, roughly, GOP will be in the lead. People are now starting to see that it seems that Florida is going to go to Trump. So we'll watch and see as that momentum picks up. Early ballots or early voting in person just started, I think, yesterday in most of the state of Florida, or Friday, I think, and then opened up yesterday in the rest of the state. So be interesting to see how that breaks going forward. So and then Breitbart was talking about that. The Dems, they urged the early voting and Politico wrote an article saying, basically Democrats need to be scared, right? There's some fear that they're not turning out the vote like they wanted, the youth vote, for example. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think in Florida, as it stands right now, the black vote is under about 0.5% from where it was in 2016. And so what they're saying is if that continues, then you're probably going to see Trump picking up Florida, not necessarily the black vote. They're not trying to break on that and say it's by being underrepresented or underperforming that's good for Trump or for Biden. They're just trying to show that if they are underperforming in the black vote, then either there's not enthusiasm for Biden, or if there is enthusiasm, they're going and they're going to break for Donald Trump. So some interesting stuff going on. I just wanted to let you guys know some stuff that you probably didn't hear about today. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. I think I'm going to do another podcast tonight on the Plot Against the President that's on Amazon right now. That's a Lee Smith and Michael Cervantes movie. Very well done. Explains everything from what Nunes, when he took over the investigation to counter Adam Schiff, kind of what transpired. Very informative. And it will break down the cognitive dissonance on people on the left. If you have an open mind, watch it, refute it. If you've got facts that you can show that this is wrong, this guy's wrong, then by all means. But if you want to see us, follow us on another podcast we're about to do here in probably 10 minutes or so to discuss that movie. Again, thank you. Follow us at America's New Clothes. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at America's New C. C is in clothes, so America's New C. On Facebook, and our website is americasnewclothes.com. And you can follow Mike Oristian or Price Robinson as well. So come to our site, leave us comments as well on any of our videos. Let us know what you think, what we can do to improve. We were just launching, so wanting to get the message out. We've been up for about 2 weeks now or so. And we cover some local politics in California, some ballot measures and that type of thing. So if you're in California and you want to learn more about AB 25 or stuff that's on the ballot, look in our video section. You'll probably see some titled videos that are pertaining to that specific ballot measure. So thanks again. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time on What You Aren't Being Told in the Media, have a good night.